to now. Okay, how do we respond to reality? Today I am here, Helene Gross, I'm with Rainer Irrgang, and we're going to see where that leads.
Hello, Helena. Nice to have me back. You have been very busy in your reality lately. But what is reality? What does reality actually mean to all the different peoples? We all live in a different reality, actually, with ourselves. But we live in this world, which is a known reality. But what kind of reality?
So that is very interesting, Rainer, because yes, I have been busy because my reality is that we need to open up our hearts to each other so that we can connect. With all this disconnect going on outside, I think it's very important, but I also think it's important to open up to being who we are. And my reality is what I have experienced. So if you're looking through the glasses of my eyes, it will be very on different dimensions that I'm living a lot. Not so much in the physical, more fifth dimension and above. That doesn't always bode for me to be saying the correct things because I don't. I am politically incorrect, always.
Yeah, me too. Me too. The reality as a child, my reality was going to someplace I liked in the garden or in a cottage and take my book with me, mostly comic book. I loved Donald Duck at that time. And I was entering a new reality. I felt well. And when I was called back in from my parents, I was almost scared going into a reality where I didn't like it too much because it was different. I grew up in a quite authoritarian, with authoritarian parents, and you shouldn't show any feelings or whatever. I never felt well in this reality, and especially work. I hated my job the first day I started it. And anyway, I kept it going for almost 40 years. And it was a reality. Every day was a different kind of reality because I was acting. I wasn't myself. And this acting didn't do any good for me. Sicknesses came and I wanted to escape. Now I am in a reality where I feel very well. I'm living in the middle of nature. I'm living alone and I'm the happiest man in the world. And I do the things I love to do. So I could talk about different realities. I didn't experience, for instance, higher beings or angels or aliens or whatever. I didn't experience that, except in my dreams, very vividly. And that was a complete other reality. But for me, even when I woke, I could remember all the dreams I had, and it was true to me. It existed. I accepted it as another reality, which is out there. And when you do that, you get another kind of understanding of the reality we live in. There are more possibilities. And we have researchers today which are writing books and giving lectures about these other realities. And people call them for stupid, call them for sick or psychopaths or whatever. And this is a pity when people are locking down. They don't want to open to other realities because they press themselves on us. We live in this kind of matrix, which is a reality we created ourselves by fear. We filled the whole matrix with fear. And this we call reality. We can create another reality by thinking differently, by knowing who we really are. And this is, as you said, the heart comes in there.
Yes. And reality is very interesting because NASA just opened up for the reality that many of us have always known. NASA just opened up and said, hey, UFOs do exist. They have shown it. I think it was last week they did that. And nobody's really paying attention because everybody's paying attention to something completely different right now. but now is the time where this disclosure might be coming out as well. And there is it's a good thing, you know, because I have been shown, or I've been told that I was one of those that I was always in my imagination. I was way out there, and I'm thinking, you have no idea how far out I really was, but okay. But the interesting part is that my reality has always had I think I also had to escape from my reality I had with my parents. I don't want to really go into that, my mom and stepdad, but I think I had to escape that. And for me, my escape was get out of the universe, out of the physical reality, get into the other parts that you feel better in, you know. And now we're all going into the fifth dimension, which is a reality. It is happening right now. Each one of us is going into that. We are going to be experiencing much more love, much more connectedness, much more of feeling at home on some level. You know, many people are going around and having, you know, difficult times with the relationships and stuff. And that reality is also about to shift. So all depending on what your reality is. For me, is what I have experienced. That's the only thing I can, you know, give to you. I can tell you my experience, but that is not your experience. You have to experience it for yourself. And especially the ETs, for example, that has been my, those have been my playmates since I was a little kid. Played with them all the time. In other words, they came to me and people said, oh, she's just imagining. No, these were real for me. And now most of you are going to be waking up to that as well, because you're going to be seeing that, oh my goodness, the reality that we have been painted, no, we have been told, we've been learning from school, we've been learning from the TV and so on, is not completely correct. In other words, we have been a little bit duped. Anyway.
Yeah. If we are kept in fear, we live in only one reality. And this is what they want to do, to keep us in fear, that we keep on living in the lower vibrations, in the lower densities, so that we are confronted always with the same reality. But when we open up, and as I said, when you're far down and you don't want to live anymore, then you have a chance to get in contact with your heart and your soul. Then you get another reality. And then you start a completely new life. And then you live in actually two realities. You live physically in the 3D reality, but in your mind, you opened up, or shall I say, especially in your heart, you're opened up to the higher frequencies, to the higher vibrations, and you start realizing things. Maybe you see things. Sometimes when I'm very relaxed and I feel very happy, I'm looking into another cottage, into the wall there, and I see figures. And I see figures, I can recognize who they are, and they start moving their lips, and I understand what they're saying. We're communicating. And this is very interesting.
Yes.
And it becomes very natural to me. And I'm starting to communicate also with trees. And
yes, they're so wise.
Because I ask them questions, or I make a comment. Who treated you like this? Or why did you become so sick? And then I get immediately pictures in my head, which explains me why.
Yeah.
And this don't have any proof for all these things, but we need to learn to trust our intuition.
Yes.
And our intuition has to be heightened. And we live in our reality. We are told that we live in 5D, but actually we live only mostly in 4D, in our four senses, because the fifth sense is actually the sense where you touch on things, you know. When you touch another person, you get a feeling in your body. You feel something. Or when you touch a glass of ice cold water, you feel something with it. This kind of feeling you start to work within your body. What does it mean to you? What does it tell you? You start to reflect. And this sense, we have to live more purely, more intensely, because this is a jumping board into your higher intuition or to the sixth sense. And this is what they want us not to do. This is why they tell little boys, a parent, when a little boy cries, that little boys don't cry.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
Yeah.
these feelings, this sense is kept down. And we all do it, but it's a big turnaround now, because now the frequencies which are coming in is doing something on our cellular niveau, you can say.
Level.
It's a level. It starts to work on every cell,
Yes.
and it makes you ask questions. It makes you question everything.
Yes.
What you thought before on one topic, just step back and think at the same topic again. What is the difference? You think completely different today than you did just a few days ago, maybe. This is the big change, and if we are aware of it, then we easily grow into a higher frequency of creating a very strong intuition, getting contact with nature again, getting contact in the near future with other beings. This is going to be completely natural.
Yes. Yes, and that's why I was saying to a friend of mine when I found out that Mother Earth already was in the fifth dimension, and I went down into my forest and I talked to my trees as well, and they're saying, yes, we are. Now we just need everybody else to get on board, you know. And you were talking about trees. They are so wise. If you ever want answers, just sit under a beautiful tree and just stay there for a while. They will heal you. They will impart very beautiful information to you. And it is interesting to see these giant, wise beings, because a tree is a being just like a human is a being, you know, but they just stand still. I've always wondered, how does it feel to just stay in one place? And the trees are saying, well, it feels pretty good. You know, we work together. We're not alone. We look like we're alone, but on the root level, we are all connected. It's like interconnected. So we help each other. If one is sick, then we find out, oh, the others can come in with medicine to heal this one. And sometimes some of us have to go, they say. And because I've always asked, if you have this interconnectedness, why do some get old and sick? And they say, well, sometimes it's time for us to go. And then we make good soil. We fertilize the forest ground. And so there's a continuation all the time. And I'm thinking, wow, that is more than I even, you know, would ever understand. But I remember when I was sitting and writing my book, and the neighbor that had the property right beside me, they started cutting down the trees, and suddenly I couldn't write the book anymore because I was on this high frequency. I could feel the trees, what they were feeling, and I started to cry, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I had to ask this neighbor if it was possible for him not to continue cutting down the trees, because I felt it. He looked at me as if I was the craziest person. And I said, can I buy the property from you, please? Because these trees are hurting and you're ruining the forest. And I remember him saying, no, you know, I'm making way for grasses to come back, and for it's too many trees. And I'm like, no, they work together as a family. This is not, you know, this is not one tree here and one tree there. Yes, if you go to the store and buy an orphan, because that's what you're doing when you buy the trees that have been brought up in the nurseries, you're more or less buying an orphan, bringing it into a forest that's already a family. Sometimes they will accept it, sometimes they won't. That's how powerful the connection is in the essential forests. And that's why when we walk through a forest, we can feel this beautiful energy coming to us, because we can feel this calmness, because there's a lot of wisdom in forests. It's just by sitting on the forest floor, just let the trees talk to you, you know. Anyway, that's because I've totally experienced that. And when you said that you were talking to the trees, I'm like, yes, there is such wisdom in them, and they've been here
Yeah.
for such a long time.
And you have areas where the whole forest is sick and trees are dying.
Yes.
And when you look what happened in this area, the industrial area, and they cut down lots of trees to make room for buildings.
Yes.
Why are they doing it? I went there and I looked at the machines, which are huge machines, just taking the trees down, and pull them through to take all the branches off. And I heard it inside my head, the hurt of these trees
Yeah.
and the sound of these machines. It is barbaric. People don't understand what they are doing.
No.
They really don't understand. And the vibrations why the trees are getting sick is not because of the ground. It is because of the vibrations they get into their branches. 95 of all their food is coming from the air, not from the roots and the water, what the people think.
Yeah.
Because they keep the water level stable. This is what they do.
Yeah.
And in their roots, which is down the earth, they have the kind of internet connection
Yeah.
to all the other trees.
Yeah.
They're small threads which you can't see with an eye. They're small threads connected from their roots to other roots.
Yeah.
So if one tree is on a very dry area, doesn't have water, because sometimes they need water.
Yeah.
All the other trees connect. They how should I say? They don't take up that much water. They give themselves the message.
Yeah.
Cut the water and push it over to this other tree, and this is how they save themselves and each other.
Yeah.
And it's the same when a farmer, an Austrian farmer, I think I mentioned it in a video we made last time. He is doing permaculture.
Yes.
Where everything is growing wildly on a farm 1,500 meters above sea level. And he's growing lemons and kiwi there. It's the coldest area of the whole Europe. And he shows everybody how to do it. And he said competition is translated or explained in our language completely wrong. Competition is told us it's to fight who is better than the other one. Competition actually is from nature. There are always groups of plants growing together as a community.
Yeah.
And they compete. Compete means actually to cooperate. That's what it means. They give each other what they need to be successful in their growth, And this is what competition means. And then we take this competition from nature, this explanation, and put it into sports, and put it into business and all that. We destroy. We are completely far away from reality, from the real facts. We destroy the language into the negative.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
Yeah.
we are going towards an amazing time. And if people are not waking up, that means if they are not going inside themselves and try to find out who they really are, they will have enormous problems.
Yes.
And I see that sometimes when I get comments in my video that some people are going in there and saying, you need help, you're sick, this is the worst thing I've ever heard, or whatever. I feel sorry for these people because
yes, because they're so closed in. They're so closed.
They won't make it. Literally, they won't make it if they keep on like this.
No, because we are going towards a community or an environment where we're going to be very open. We're going to be very transparent. The light is going to be shining, and we're going to be opening our hearts. And when we open our hearts, we connect. We connect to the above. We connect to each other. We just by that we are getting into a space of 100% unconditional love. That's what we're going towards.
Yes.
And can you imagine that you would live in a place where people are not hurting you? They're here to help. They're here to, like you say, cooperate. They're here. We are here to make each other's world a better place. And I mean everybody's world a better place.
Yeah. Can you imagine if somebody comes in and say, I want to help you, on the other one thinks automatically, what's the catch? You
Yes,
know, what's
yes.
the catch? We don't trust anymore.
No, but we have had a good reason as well.
We had a good reason, but this is why it's so important that we strengthen our intuition to know who to trust, to know
Yes,
who to believe,
yes,
to know what is true and what is false.
yes, yes. That is true. And that is interesting that you say that, because I don't know how many times I've been going down a beautiful highway and then somebody shows a sign, a distraction, and I go off onto that little place and then I have to turn around because it's a dead end street back onto the highway. I've fallen into that trap many, many times where I've trusted and it was just not good. So yeah, we have to learn the discernment. Um, Discernment of what people's motives are, why they are coming into your life, what is it that they are wanting, and maybe just because we are still a little bit not completely in our line where we really want to go yet. So we will look around and say, oh, what do they think, or what do they think? But really what we have to do is just go into our hearts and just completely open that up, because what we think is important, even though when we were younger, we might not have gotten that attention or that acknowledgement.
What people should learn is, if they're in doubt of themselves and what other people think, as soon as you discovered who you really are and you live out from the heart, you are incredibly powerful.
Mm.
And you don't care anymore what other people think of you.
No.
You are very powerful. And your biggest weapon is your mind, is your thoughts. You can dismantle other people by thought only. No violence needed at all.
No, exactly.
But you should know when to say something and when not. This is what you have to do, is to heighten your intuition, so you know what the other one thinks or feels, or how they could behave according to what you say. And this makes you so aware, so you can handle every difficult person the right way there and then. It just comes natural to you. You don't have to think about it. It comes naturally because you're in heart contact. And your heart is in contact with the cosmos, you know.
I know. And that's one thing that people don't understand, that our hearts are that powerful. So, you know, in the work that I do and connecting with people, the first place we're all connecting, all of us, is through our hearts. And so if I connect with someone that has a heart that is partially open, I can feel the hurt of that person. It doesn't matter where you are. If you are in the US, if you are in Canada, if you are in Europe, it doesn't matter where you are. The hearts can connect worldwide. So you're talking about the cosmos. I talk about the cosmic net. We are connected through our hearts to everyone.
Yeah.
And you know, and so sometimes that is a little mind-boggling, but you'll get used to it. This is our new norm.
Yeah. Another thing, what maybe people should be training or be aware of, it's with their own health.
Yes.
Because if they get a diagnosis from somewhere that they have this and this kind of sickness, this kind of health problem, they accept it. They include it with their being, and that makes them sick.
Oh my goodness, you're right.
And people don't learn what scientists were talking about for years and years. It's the placebo effect.
Yeah.
How powerful it actually is.
Yes.
Why don't people learn from that? If you say, I don't have this sickness, this is not me. And who says actually it is a sickness? Maybe it's just here, this balance of something in my body, which I have to balance again.
So you said something about being very powerful in your thoughts.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that I lived up in DC for a while, Washington, DC. By the way, it's going to be interesting. They're going to continue with the name District of Columbia. That's another discussion. But I was up in Washington, D.C., and I went for a regular checkup. I'm not one of those that go for regular checkups, but it was part of my plan. So I more or less had to once a year. And they found a lump in my one breast. And they wanted to take a biopsy. And I said to them, well, you know what? I'm going to go home and sleep on this. In other words, I was going to go home and check it out myself. And this was very interesting because they had found a lump. They wanted to have a biopsy to make sure that this was it. I called them the next day and I told them that there is no necessary, this is not necessary. I am not going to come back. I'm not going to have a biopsy. And then they started talking to me about all the cancers and what it can do. And I had decided, a little bit scared because I had never had that kind of a diagnosis. But I said to myself, you're going to heal this yourself because you've done this with everything else. So every day I would get up in the morning, I would go out in my garden, I would sit and let Mother Earth take some of the negativity because I had some fear in my being. And I would tune into that lump. And every day I would look at this lump and say, okay, you're going to get smaller and smaller. And I was using the energy from the above, bringing it through, going in there and blasting it away. And in about a month, it was gone. Then I went back and I had them check me and they couldn't find anything. And I remember the doctor saying to me, we must have made a mistake on our papers because you're supposed to have a lump there. And I'm like, not anymore. And I remember him saying, well, what did you do? I said, well, I just healed it. And then he was more or less didn't want to talk to me. We can all do this. The interesting part is we can all do this.
Yeah.
Again, perspective. You want to take the doctor's perspective or your own?
Yeah. This is how powerful we are, actually. If we don't want to be sick, we just tell ourselves we are not sick.
Yes.
But if you get any kind of disease, ask yourself why.
Yeah.
What is my habits? How is my belief system? Who am I? And change that. This is why medicine says that if they operate the cancer away from a body, and they tell you usually, if you don't get the cancer back within 5 years, we can say that you are 100% cured. Why are they saying that?
Because they're programming you.
Yeah, because if you continue then the same lifestyle, the same thought processes you had, you will get it back.
Yep, you will. And another thing that they don't think about, and this is something that I hope they're going to open up to now when the medical field is going to be shifting, because that's another thing that's going to be happening, is the fact that when you have had any kind of trauma to your body, physical trauma, there's an emotional trauma that is still there. And you have to go in and clear that too. And once you clear that, then you can be free from it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. But you have to be willing to face it.
Yes. Yes.
That's quite a big job, you know. And this is what this change means as well. Are we ready to face ourselves in order to go into this change, to be part of this change?
Yes.
If not, people will become really sick.
Yes, and that is almost the cure is to go within and to clear. I always liken it to if you're throwing away the trash, in other words, negative thoughts, negative programming, so you throw it away, you press it down, in the end the trash can is so full that you actually have to take the trash out. And if you don't, that's when the sicknesses come.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Things are actually much easier, but still hard to do because we don't believe in that.
Yeah.
Because there is no proof yet out there, because there is actually enough proof, but not in our science.
No.
Our science is bought and paid for.
Yeah.
Nothing is actually real in our science.
And it's interesting that you say that, because our science, that everything we base, or let's just say the allopathic medicine that we're basing our beliefs on, many people's beliefs, um, is rooted in, like you were saying, whatever is having the most money or the most funding is the one that is going to be the our truths, and that is not true. We have to go back to becoming more in tune with who we are, more in tune with nature, like we were talking about before. We have to get back into being in tune with the beings that we are, and our connections and our love for ourselves, and our and common sense. Common sense in what are you eating? I mean, you can shift your whole life just by what you eat
Of course.
and what you think.
Especially what you think, because the changes which are coming is telling us to use again common sense. And common sense we have put away from, because everything is so complicated today. Everything needs to be logically explained with evidence, you know, and proof. And this, what we are talking about, there is no proof yet, because these scientists, there are some, they are not listened to. Nobody takes it serious. But more and more people are waking up to that and experiencing this new kind of research themselves. They do experiences. And there is many alternative in medicine and herbs which could completely cure you.
Yes.
But if you don't know, even the herbs can't help you.
No.
They will help you, the symptoms, they take up the symptoms, but they will always come back if you just continue the same negative thinking all the time.
Yes.
And we are taught as well, especially in business, you should say that there is a problem. You say it's opportunities.
Yeah.
I think it's completely wrong. Of course,
Okay.
there is opportunities, but if I'm not willing to accept it as a problem here and then, I won't find the solution. I will always go just around the problem.
Yeah.
And this is the whole world in 3D is about that. Symptoms, trying to get rid of the symptoms. If it's medicine, if it's business, if it's religion, or what, it's everywhere the same. We have to get into the problem to see how we have been living, what kind of thought structures are laying behind that. And if we are willing and say we are going to change that, then we know what we don't want anymore. First, we have to know what we don't want anymore to know what we want, because the opposite of that. But we have to understand what that negativity is. And then we know where we're going. Bang, it's gone right away. All the problems right away.
That is true. That is very true. You know, our thoughts create our reality. And I think it was it Einstein that said, you can't solve a problem on the same level or same dimension as the problem is. You need to go above to be able to solve the problem, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm not saying it verbatim, but I think it was Einstein that had that kind of a thought process.
You can't resolve a problem with the same thought processes that created it.
No.
That should be logic to everybody. But we are still doing the same things, always the same things. We are ruining our rivers. We are ruining our forests. And we don't learn because it is business.
Yes.
You know, we straighten out the rivers because they need to flow faster so that we can win electricity out of it. And when we straighten a river, we ruin every life in it.
Yeah.
Because a river has to go like this all the time. Because all the stones, the sand, that's food for the water. And this is the information we need.
Yeah.
And when the water goes into a bend, you know, it implodes. It makes waves and it implodes itself, you know. It takes oxygen up into the water as well. And at the same time, it creates more depth exactly at that place. And that gives new breeding ground for fish.
Yeah.
And nature is circulating in a natural way.
Yeah.
And besides, it gives the ground on the banks of the river enough water and enough moist so that the trees can grow, which gives the river the shadow it needs as well. Otherwise, it would dry out.
Mm.
We do so terrible things. And now we have an elite which wants to reduce the world's population to about 500 million because they want to continue this lifestyle. And with less people, they think they can continue a couple of 100 years more. You know?
Yeah.
It is such stupidity.
Yeah.
And this is what is coming out to the open now, because the satanic principle is revealing itself in everyday life. Everybody can see it. How stupid these people are.
Yeah.
They put it out in the open.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, they are actually stupid because they believe in these things themselves and they're inbred all the time. So they became literally stupid people. Literally stupid.
Oh, no, I know what you mean. Yes, but okay, but then I have to say something. They have done a very good job for a while.
Well, in showing us, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Now we are waking up to who we are, because I mean, how many times have we tried to go to, like, 60s, 70s, the hearts were open. We were here to expand love and freedom and the whole thing. And then of course the drugs and the sex came in. I'm not saying anything wrong with sex, but this part just came in, and the exploitation of people, young people that were here to raise their frequencies, right? That was 70s. Then 2001, get 9/11. That crushed a lot too, right? And then now we're here, and they're trying it one more time, but this time is not. No.
There are many people in the internet which are they're prophesizing the doomsday, you know.
Nope, not gonna happen.
And they try to think logic, but they think out of their framework, what they know. They don't take in the spiritual aspect, and they don't see what is going on behind the scenes to get a bigger picture, which points us clearly into another direction. They don't want to see it. And by doing so, they keep the vibration low of the people, the fear mongering, you know. And what I do is, that's why I got so many viewers within the last month, is because I bring in some more hope. I tell them the other picture. I tell them what but I cannot prove it. But within myself, I know it is so. And on the other hand, I can tell them what is happening behind the scenes, but you won't see it in the newspaper or in the media, or you can't Google it. Of course not.
Yeah.
Not yet, but it will come quite soon.
Yeah.
In Germany, a friend of Donald Trump, a billionaire, I forgot his name now, he bought himself into one of Germany's biggest media houses, which is called Springer Verlag. Over 100 newspapers, several TV channels, and the biggest paper, which is called Bild-Zeitung. And suddenly, the reporting is a little different.
Oh.
You know?
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're still fighting. Sometimes it's bad, but most of the times it's getting much, much better, you know. And another millionaire just bought in Pro7, which is a big channel in Germany as well. So this is how they shift this, you know. Yeah. And what Trump is doing with his theory is using the same tactics what the negative elites did. He's using Edward Bernays' theories on how to control the masses with the media. He uses that for himself.
Yeah, I see that.
Create awareness in the people, because this is very important. If the people are not aware enough, we will have chaos in the transition. The transition will happen if people want it or not. It will happen.
Yeah.
But many people will get completely chaotic and violent if they don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And that is what is happening. I don't know. I was watching something happening in New York. People were not violent. They were just walking around with signs. Don't remember exactly what it was. The signs were for, but they were keeping distance. They were doing everything that they were told to do. But then, you know, the police were trying to tell them that they couldn't do this, and they're like, regarding the Constitution, yes, we can assemble. we are even keeping the guidelines. What's happening here? We're even keeping the guidelines, but they were, you know, they were being harassed by the police because the police have gotten another order from somewhere, not from Trump, because Trump is opening up for everybody to follow the Constitution. All the states are getting freedom to follow the Constitution, but you know, some states are waking up a little bit later. You know?
It will take some time, but they are cleaning up everywhere now. And what is coming in the near future is these arrests what everybody was talking about. Although they're a little bit behind schedule because you never know what these deep state people are coming up with, what they have up their sleeves. They might know it because it could create really havoc still.
Yeah.
So they have to be very careful. And this is why it's important that the people are waking up to who you are. Because if you wake up, and as I told the people, you are so powerful in your thoughts. You can create a completely new reality if you believe it or not.
Yes.
It is happening. If you manifest, you can literally manifest it.
Yes. And that this is something that is very important to know, and that is, as a hypnotherapist, I have learned a lot about what you tell yourself and how that plays in your life, how that becomes your reality. So Carl Jung was one of the people that was using this as a therapy form. They had to go away from it for a while, but it's back, and it's back with a vengeance right now. People are going and getting hypnotized or using hypnosis for shifting your thought patterns. It's very, very important to understand that this really does work. But it's also important to understand that if you continue telling yourself the same story from the past, you're going to continue reiterating and reprogramming yourself to stay there. That's why it's important when you find yourself staying in an old pattern that doesn't feel right, it's not. Get out of there. Look at it from, this is my past. This is something that I did then. This is not something that I'm doing now. I'm opening up to the new possibilities, to the new world, to the new way of thinking, to the new way of living. And that's that. If we have enough people that are opening their hearts, opening their minds to that, we're going to be just fine in the transition.
Exactly. Exactly. We live after the memes, you know, what we have in us.
Yes.
And an example is that a young mother, she says she wants to raise their children in a different way that she was raised in.
Yeah.
But if she's not completely aware why she was raised the way she was raised, she is subconsciously doing almost everything the same way.
Yeah, that's true.
This is what is so important, is that you have to go inwards to analyze. I have been living in the past. I did this. Yes. But why did I do it? Why? And if you find that problem, it'll never occur again.
No, and there is I think it's called the Sedona method, and it's something that I have used for many, many years. It's an old method, and that is when you do things and you want to change and you seem to not be able to change, because when we are conscious, we're saying, oh, I want to change. For example, let's just say weight loss. I want to start losing weight or whatever. And you're very conscious saying this, but your subconscious mind is still running on that old programming. You have to like really get in there. But there's one way I do that. I ask myself, okay, if I want to change, let's say I want to change my way of addressing other people. And if I don't, I ask myself why. And I'm asking myself, my whole being, can I change? And if I get the word yes, okay, will I change? That's the second question. If I get the word yes, and then the third question is when? And you are very slowly allowing yourself to be able to do it and to do it and to do it now. Usually the word that you ask and the answer usually is now. And then you're reprogramming yourself. Now, if it doesn't work right away, you can go from a scale from 10 to 0, 10 being the most and 0 being the least. And then you can look where you are on the scale. When you get down to 2, 1, 2, or 3, you more or less have shifted your perspective. So it actually is really, really effective. This is it's called the Sedona method. I've been using it for years, and mainly with emotions that come up that seem to be out of place. Then I'll say, whoa, what happened here? And then I go in and I'll analyze it. So it's an easy way to shift, you know. So
sounds very effective.
And I don't even remember who did this. So it's, can I change, or can I, whatever it is we want to shift, will I? So you're talking to your inner self. And then the last one is when. Those are the questions. So yeah.
But I have a good question for you.
Yes.
We were starting our video by talking about realities.
Reality.
How is 5D going to look like when we enter this reality?
Ooh. Okay, first of all, you know, whenever you have gotten into either you're riding your bike, or you are playing an instrument, or you are in a space of flow, I'm sure everyone has felt it at some time. It's like you're riding, okay, picture this. You're on a like say a rowboat, laying on your back with a straw in your mouth, and the sunshine is shining on you, and you're just floating down streams. Easy peasy. What it is that you're opening your hearts. You're in love. Remember how the feeling of love is? That's what you're going to be feeling. And because you feel it, that other person is going to feel it. It's going to expand. So you're constantly in expansion. And 5D is just the beginning. But it's going to be frictionless. It's going to be like in the state of being in love all the time. Now, yes, we will have periods where we dip into a little bit lower frequency, yes. But it's about being completely transparent, completely true, completely love. I mean, it is a place where I also believe that the money system is going to be the love system. In other words, you do have a kind of an exchange. I'm not sure what that is going to be physically, how that's going to work. But you see, we're going to be in the love state on the physical planet until we go into the next dimension, because when we go into a next dimension, we might not even need a body or a planet, but that's another story. But right now, that is the way I have experienced it, and that's the way I experience it. And I know when I'm not in the 3D, in the 5D, is when I start worrying about my finances. Then I'm like, oh, I'm back down here. Shoot.
What I imagine in 5D, as I heard, there are several levels in this 5D as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And when we enter this, what I imagine is that you finally feel like a ton is lifted from your shoulders.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to pretend anymore.
No.
You really are free. You can be yourself.
Yeah.
You know you're accepted. You know your faults. You start to love them because you can learn from them.
Yeah.
It is so natural. Everybody gives you an understanding of purity,
Yeah.
of, I would almost say, naivety. But this word is actually the true sense of the soul's being.
Yeah.
Because many people are saying, "Oh God, you're naive. You have to be a little bit more tough. You have to hide your emotions or whatever." You know, this is BS actually.
Yeah.
The soul is a kind of naive because it is true love in every aspect. And besides, then you contact other people in 5D, you will have the feeling that you don't have to explain much because there is mutual understanding there right away.
You're
This
completely
feeling
one.
is, yes, this
Yeah.
feeling is a kind of bliss. It is a constant bliss, in other words.
Mm.
And that gives you another desire to live completely differently. It gives you an enormous creativity.
Yeah.
It gives you a pleasure to go even more inwards to discover who you are.
Mm.
And you see nature and animals and everything around you in a completely different way.
Yeah, that's true.
Because for the first time,
Everything is connected. It's
yeah,
like you hear what the animals say, you hear what the trees say, you connect with all. You communicate with them all. It's beautiful. When I moved to this house here, I had a buck that I met on a walk. I was out walking my two dogs and I met this buck and he was beautiful. He just looked at me with his beautiful antlers and he just looked at me and I said to him, "Come visit me at my place." And I'll never forget, I woke up the next morning and I'm looking right out and there he's standing right in front of my bedroom looking right at me. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." We understood each other. It was so beautiful. I was in
yeah,
tears because I was like, I knew that I was connecting with him, but I had been living so many years up in Washington, D.C. that I had a hard time connecting with nature. But as soon as I came where I am now, I was just connecting with everything. And that was my proof that we had connected, we could
yeah,
communicate.
yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. Yes. Reality. Please leave in the comments, guys, if you have anything you'd like to say to us regarding reality. What is your reality? What is your reality? How do you feel about what we were talking about today? Does anything resonate with you? And we'd like to hear the comments below because we might make another program that is something about whatever you guys feel that we should make a program about. We will, because we just get on and then we just start talking and channeling this beautiful energy, and we love it. And I hope you guys are connecting with us and understanding that we are here, all of us, to connect. All of us are here to help each other grow and to expand the knowledge and so on and so forth. So I think that, yeah, Reiner, do you have anything to say here in the end? I think we can.
Well, it's in my business, in the hotel business, and I was a waiter for many years. And I had an ability to read the wishes of the guests. I knew what they wanted before they even said it. I just went to them, see, it would be nice with a little bit of that, wouldn't it? Oh yes, yes, sure. That I put them up into a higher place. I gave them a heart experience
Yeah,
when they came to my restaurant. They got a heart experience, not only good service, but a heart experience.
I like
And
that.
that lifted when you could see the faces of my guests, how they enjoyed themselves,
Mm,
and how that made me feel good.
yeah.
So everybody comes into this situation. Try to read the wishes of another person you interact with.
That's another thing you're going to be able to do in the fifth dimension.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not that much fun, I can tell you. If you are arguing with someone, you hear what they're thinking.
Oh yeah.
but yeah, yes, Rainer, I believe that. And oh my goodness, I wish I had visited you while you had that restaurant, because it would have been a wonderful talk.
Yeah. Well,
We can still do
maybe
that.
can still do that.
Yes, yes.
We can still do that. I'll buy a restaurant, then I invite you.
I thought you were done with that business.
Well, I hated my business from the first day, but when I became good and when I learned myself how to please the guests, how to put them in a pink sky, what it made to me, I said, as more as I give, the better I have it myself.
Yes, that's true.
That was my new philosophy.
Yes.
But then came with this business, all this to make money and the cut downs,
Yeah.
and you have to work more for less money and all this, they want you to be perfect but they don't want to give you.
Yeah.
And this is the business circle we are in, and it's going to be fading out.
Yes, that's another thing that we're not going to be having to do, the 9-to-5 jobs. We're going to be, that is going to be shifting as well. More people are going to be creative, just like you were saying. More people are going to open up to their divinity and their abilities. And
when we have the owners of the private money system out of the equation, we
yes.
will have more than enough money to run a society, and nobody will work more than about 20 hours a week.
No.
That gives us so much time to be creative, to fill our lives with.
Yes.
And this will create, in turn, again, a completely new culture. It will be beautiful.
Oh, yes. I can just see people dancing around with holding hands, dancing around and doing all kinds of beautiful, beautiful things together, and just really enjoying each other, you know, in a way that I don't think has happened in a long time, because we've always, you know, most of us have spent our lives being stressed over paying the bills and raising families and this. Now people are going to be enjoying themselves in the moment.
Yeah.
Not think about anything else, just in the moment, enjoying fully, being in bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so looking forward to that. when we gotten over this hump that we're going through right now, that is so beautiful.
This hump could be a little turbulent. It could go very smooth as well. We wait and see.
Yes.
But I'm sure that all of this will be over with the end of this year.
Yes, I believe so too. I think that we might even, it could be sped up, but I have a feeling that there are some things that need to be ironed out before. But yes, let's just look at that. Sorry?
When I say it will be over within this year, when the shift happened and the old guys are out of the picture, it's actually then we have to start to create our own world, because then it's up to us. Somebody did the hard job for us.
Yes.
To put the obstacles out of the way. And now we have to be creative ourselves. And we have to do something and to give back for the help we got. This is going to be a big job. We need lots of teachers. We need to be creative again. We need to live completely different that we never imagined could happen before.
I know. That is the prime way of living that we're going to be doing. We're going to be really not just existing, we're going to be living with all our senses and all our beauty. Thank you so much, Reiner. This was amazing.
Thank you.
I had a blast. I hope you guys had a blast. We are going to come back with something new. And if you have any suggestions, please comment below. Okay, with much love.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.